What's going on, guys? Joe from Odyssey Off-Road here. We are in the Jeep Gladiator, and I figured it's a good time. I'm going to do a little bit of a, wouldn't say long-term review, but I would say owner review after putting it through its paces in a variety of conditions. I think I got a pretty good taste for, you know, how it performs in certain situations and how it handles everyday driving, towing and hauling, off-roading, and a variety of conditions. So figured it would be a good time. I got about just under 6,500 miles on. If you guys seen the last video where we did the fuel mileage test, we got a couple hundred more miles on it since then. So we'll talk a little bit more about the fuel mileage we're getting on it, which has been surprisingly good. So I'm gonna have the Jeep here. We'll do a little walk around, so you don't have to keep staring at me throughout this video, and we'll go over all the things I've done to it and my thoughts on the Jeep so far. All right, guys, so let's talk about the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. I've owned it for a little over 3 months now, and so far, I'll be honest with you, I go through a lot of vehicles, and I feel like I've been looking for reasons not to like this vehicle, but I really can't find any. I've thoroughly enjoyed every moment of owning it so far in the short time I've had it. Of course, you know, if just looking at it, I mean, I come out of the store, come walking back to the truck, it's just, the color is awesome, the truck looks terrific, the styling of it, I mean, it's a head turner. I get compliments on it all the time, especially the color. It's great. I absolutely have been in love with the Jeep. No problems, no regrets. So we've had it in a variety of conditions. If you guys have seen the last video that was uploaded before this on the fuel mileage test, that you've heard me say, you know, the last road trip we were just on, we did a 2,000-mile road trip with this thing where we averaged 18 miles per gallon for the whole trip. Check that video out if you're interested. I'll leave a link at the end for all the Jeep videos at the end of this video, so you guys can check all the other content out. And it did great in the road trip. We had the whole family in here. We did some off-roading in Moab. As far as the off-roading goes, I aired this thing down to, we didn't do nothing crazy, but we did Chicken Corners in Moab, we did Onion Creek, we did Long Canyon, and Gemini Bridges in 2 days. We did those 4 trails. I aired down to only regular 8 PSI around 37. I did not have a compressor enough to air back up 4 tires that I felt confident in. So I just aired down to about 30 pounds, and just enough where I could still drive a little bit on the pavement to get back into town. The trails are all fairly close to the town of Moab, and then everywhere in town is free air at the gas stations and what have you. So, and I was aired back in town. So I only aired down to about 30 pounds, and the truck handled all these trails great. Did really, really well. As far as the road trip goes, drives really well on the highway. The gas mileage is fairly good. Only time you get a dip in the gas mileage is, you know, when you're fighting a headwind, or, you know, a really heavy crosswind. It is still a Jeep after all, with that windshield pretty much vertical. You know, and the sides being as flat as they are, it's pretty much like a sail in the wind sometimes. It's not as bad as, you know, a JLU or a JKU. I had a JKU in the past, and I think it was just all over the road in the slightest bit of wind. This is not nearly as bad. It's much better. With the extra length of the, you know, Gladiator, it really gives a lot of highway stability. I'm very happy with the way it drives on the highway. We've done some towing with it and hauling. I go to the dunes. Made several dune trips with the truck. I had my Raptor in the bed twice. It handled that fairly well. No issues at all. My Raptor fits right between the wheel wells, which is one of the reasons why I went with the Gladiator as opposed to a Tacoma, which I'm a big, anybody that knows me on a personal level knows I'm a huge Toyota fan. I love Toyota trucks. But the Tacoma just doesn't fit the bill for what I needed for at the time right now. Can I fit my quad in the back of the Tacoma? Yeah, but the space between the wheel wells is a little tighter. It'd be kind of, the tires would be like on top of the wheel wells, so to speak. And you know, it kind of nestles right in here in the back of the Gladiator. The only issue is where the factory D-rings are on the Gladiator. To tie it down is a little bit of a pain in the neck, but we're gonna solve that problem with a future mod, and we'll talk about that here later in the video. The other thing is, we've towed with it. You know, besides having just the quad in the bed, I've towed my trailer, which is about 1,800 pounds. It's an 18-foot PJ trailer with 2 Yamaha Raptors on the back of that. About, you know, several hundred miles. So from Tucson to the Glamis sand dunes and then back. And you didn't even feel the trailer back there. I'll be all honest with you. At the time, I did not have the trailer brake controller on there, so the trailer brakes weren't working. So the only time you felt it was when you were stopping, because the trailer brakes weren't being utilized at the time. We've since alleviated that with the addition of the trailer brake controller, which I'll show you. I got a video out on that too. If you're looking to install one, it is a little tricky, but I have a very detailed video on the install of that. So check that out as well. And then we also towed a smaller trailer with 2 Yamaha Raptors on it on quite a far trip. We went from, so I had my Raptor in the bed, drove up to Phoenix, picked up a buddy of mine, put my Raptor on his trailer, which he has a smaller trailer. It's like a 4x10 trailer, so much smaller than my 18-foot PJ trailer. And we towed that up to Coral Pink Sand Dunes in Utah. So that's, you know, 8 hours from Phoenix. It's about 5.5 hours there, 5.5 hours back. Towed no problem. You know, that whole trip was great with the 2 of us in it and our gear and stuff. So that was good. Highway's good. Off-roading's been great. I haven't had any issues with the Jeep so far. As far as mechanical issues or things going wrong, engine lights, having to take it back to the dealer for anything. I do have a scheduled maintenance. I'm using my first Jeep Wave maintenance coming up next Monday. So it's a week. Today's Tuesday. By the time you see this video, maybe it'll be Wednesday morning. So in about 6 days, I have my first Jeep Wave appointment. I've already changed the oil though, however, myself once. So, and the reason why I did that is brand new. It was about 1,250 miles on it. I dumped the oil and the filter. I just wanted to make sure it was breaking in right. There was no metal in the oil filter, especially before towing with it. Got fresh oil in it, new filter, and so now I got about a little over 5,000 miles on that oil change. I did not reset the engine oil life on in the gauge cluster, so it's dropped down with the mileage I have on it to about 60. I have about 160 miles. It's dropped down to about 20-something, low 20s percentage-wise for oil life left. So I'm going to use a Jeep Wave where they'll rotate the tires, change all the fluids. Well, not change all the fluids, but change the engine oil and filter and check the fluids. So we're going to get that done next Monday. But mechanical-wise, you know, having to bring it into service for anything going wrong with it, it's been nothing. There's been no issues. I have a slight noise I'm hearing in the back. And it seems to be a fairly common issue with the Mojaves. It's the Fox shocks on certain bumps, small bumps, going not too fast, you know, a slow speed. You can hear a little bit of a clank or clunk. It's in the shock. There's like a little bit of a clunking in the shock. And it's on both sides in the back. Many other people have reported these issues. If you go on the Mojave Facebook groups and forums. It seems to be a fairly common issue. You can get it warranted on the Jeep, but then the shocks are on back order. You know, you're talking 3, 4, 5 months to get the rear shocks. I'm not even going to bother. They perform fine. They make that little bit of a noise. I've spoken to Falcon Shocks, who's owned by Terraflex. They're coming out with a set of shocks for Mojave specific. If you guys don't know already, the Jeep Mojaves use a fatter shock bolt, so the eyelets on the shocks are bigger than your standard shock, so you can't just throw a standard shock on here without drilling out the eyelet. I'm not going to do that. I'll just wait for Falcon to come out with the shocks specific to this, and maybe other companies will come out with shocks specific for the Mojave as well. And then if the rear shock noise becomes that big of an issue, I'll just replace them with the Falcons. The Falcons are actually reservoirs as well, and you can switch. There's a dial for soft, medium, and hard, so you can stiffen them up when you're towing, keep them soft for everyday driving. You know, they're a little bit more user-friendly in that regard. So, but other than that, that's it. I mean, the Jeep's been flawless, just that little bit of noise. We'll go over what the mods I've done so far to the Jeep. One stands out, obviously, you're looking right at it. We did the tonneau cover. It's nothing expensive, nothing crazy, just a Tiger tonneau cover, soft trifold. I threw this on there right before our road trip because, you know, we were going to put the luggage in the bed, want to keep everything nice and dry and clean for the road trip. You know, we had myself, my wife, and 2 kids in the front, so there's no room for luggage in a pickup truck. You have to put it in the bed. And you gotta have a tonneau cover to kind of keep your luggage and all your stuff back there that you're traveling with out of the weather. If it were to rain or blow out of the bed, even, you know, you don't need that. So I got the tonneau cover. It was fairly inexpensive, I think under $300. Shipped next day from Amazon, or 2-day shipping from Amazon Prime. Installs in literally 10 minutes. So super simple. I'll show you guys here quick if you want to see it, how it goes in. But it's basically just clamps. You can see these levers here. Just pull them up, and then they clip up there. They'll stay, and then it's one on each side, and then the cover will just tri-fold back. And then there's 2 more clamps in the back. If you want to take the cover off altogether, you just take those 2 clamps off in the back, and you can have the whole cover off in, you know, 3 minutes. And that's the reason why I went with this soft tri-fold and that type of design, is because when I do load my ATV in the back, I don't want the cover folded back and on there. I need to get it out of the way, so I can just take the whole thing right off, set it in the garage, and I'm good to go. One thing I will be doing though is adding, we'll get into that I guess in a little bit, but for the future mods, it's going to help with the tonneau cover, because it does cause a slight issue with putting the tonneau cover on there without the bed rails, if you don't have the factory bed rails. So another thing we did to it while we're in the back is, I have a video out on this as well, it's on the install, is we installed Air Ride 1000 airbags in the coil springs. You can see them there, they're red, they're in the springs. Okay, we did that. We took the air lines, ran them up inside the bed here, so I inflate those when I'm towing or I'm hauling a load. We put air pressure in there. You see the air nozzle right here. Just inflate it. Took it to Moab, deflated it, took all the air out of the bags. No issues at all. There's no hindrance on the suspension with no air in them, but when you need to support the weight, you know, so you don't get as much sag, you put some weight in there. I tell you, when I towed the trailer, put about 20 pounds in those bags, and 0 sag, no sway on the highway. Drove really nice, makes it a lot more stable when you're towing. Highly recommend that. Cheap mod, $100. You know, fairly easy install. I got an install video on that as well. You can check that out if you're interested. The other thing we added to it, while we're on the outside, we'll just cover that. Nothing crazy, but we got rid of that big ugly floppy metal antenna that comes on it. We put a little stubby. There is a little bit of a decrease in FM radio stations, but in all honesty, I don't listen to too much FM radio as it is, because I listen to mostly the satellite radio. So last mod we did so far is on the inside, and that's the trailer brake controller. You can see right there, that is a Mopar part. That's not an aftermarket one. I wanted to go with the Mopar trailer brake controller. That replaces the 12 volt like cigarette lighter receptacle that's typically there. So you're going to lose that, but most people don't really use that anyway. With all the ports in here, you got a bunch of USB-Cs and regular USBs, and then in the back seat you got the 12 volt outlet as well, so you don't really need that. You know, you have the 115 outlet right here. You don't really need that 12 volt outlet that you get rid of with the trailer brake controller. And it's, you know, something that really you order it with trailer package, should come with from Jeep, in my opinion. So you can see here we got 6,464 miles, so 64 on the button. So it's been really good. Jeep's been great. Interior wise, I can't complain. Got the headliners. The headliners are working out well, much better than without having them. The heat in here isn't too terrible. We're in the peak of summer right now. It's 110 almost today. So the headliners do really a great job with insulating the heat coming in from those thin, you know, tops, where the heat would just penetrate right through and you'd feel it on your head. Makes it a lot harder for the air conditioner to keep up in a Jeep without those headliners. They do work. I highly recommend it. Mine came, if you watched my intro video on this, with it from the factory. It was an option on the window sticker. Came with it. Go over the gas mileage here with you. So as far as gas mileage goes, we got back from vacation. We were averaging 18. That was over 2,000 miles. I did not reset it since we got back. You can see it says 18.5 there up in the top left. And so I'm at 2252 since the last time it was reset. 2,252 miles, averaging 18.5 miles per gallon over the last 2,252 miles. I will tell you, every few thousand miles, I feel like the fuel mileage goes up. When I first got it, it was averaging around 16 or so. You know, for same type of driving I'm doing now. It's usually a lot of around town, some freeway. So a good mix. And I was averaging about 16. After I noticed about 3,000 miles or so, it went up. I was averaging, you know, a little over 17. Now I'm getting, you know, I'm averaging 18 and a half. So I don't know if it'll go up much more from here. I guess we'll see. I think by 10,000 miles, 12,000 miles, what we're averaging should be about what it's going to be for the life of the vehicle. I don't know if it'll go up much more. I'm very happy with the 18.5 average. I mean, that's terrific, because on the highway I'm getting, you know, really depends on what speed you're going. Depends on if you got, like I said, outside you get a headwind. The Jeep is very susceptible to that. It's the only downfall. So that will kill the gas mileage a little bit. But I'm averaging, you know, about that on the freeway, you know, between 18 and 20. On you know, great conditions, I'm getting 21, 22. And it depends on what speed you're going as well. But for a mixed drive to average 18.5, I mean, that's far better than the, and this is another reason why I went with a mid-size truck, is for the everyday driving, I don't need a full-size truck. Is there an occasion where it would come in handy to have a full-size truck to tow, you know, my 18-foot trailer with, say, all 4 quads on it. Even that's pushing about 4,000 pounds, well within the towing capacity of this Jeep. Will a full-size truck like my last Tundra tow it easier with the gigantic V8 and, you know, 410 rear end? Of course it will. But you're going to use, in the everyday driving, which is most of the 99% of the time, you're using way more gas. I was averaging on the Tundra, you know, 15 and a half miles to gallon, close to 16 for average. On the freeway, empty, I was getting at best 18. So I'm averaging 18 and a half for mixed driving for every day. That's far superior than a full-size truck. So that was my reason for going with the midsize. The Tacoma, which probably gets a tad better gas mileage than this, but I don't think the towing is as good because of the way the motor is designed. I'm not knocking the Toyota. I love them. I've had several of them. The 3rd gen Tacomas specifically, I've had 2. So I love the truck. I have the Gladiator because it comes with a little more bells and whistles, standard, and you have more room in the back seat. The back seat room is much greater than the Tacoma is, and that's the reason I got the Gladiator. I told you guys that in the intro video for it, so if you guys haven't seen that video, I suggest you go check it out. But I'll show you this here again, the back seat, the back door. This is the only kind of awkward thing here. They got this panel right here, and I know why they do it, because the seat's there, it's kind of dead space, but if this was kind of squared off more, it'd be much easier to get in and out. But the back seat leg room, that's my normal position in the back seat. legroom is pretty significant. So I'll get in here and show you. I'm about close to 5'8", so I'm sitting here in the back seat comfortably. I got a full hand's width before my knees touch the back seat, and the front seat set up for me driving it at about 5'7", 5'8" foot tall. So I got more than enough room. My feet here I can stretch out. For the kids to be back here, there's more than enough room. So the Tacoma, you don't get as much room. I recently drove in a Tacoma, sat in the back seat, and while I can sit back there, your knees are significantly closer to the front seat than they are in the Gladiator. So you do have some more room here in the Gladiator. And while we got the door open, let me just point out, this is another mod we did. I added the door sills. These are just a brand off Amazon. Got them, fit no problem. The backs were a little big, so I actually had to trim them, but the fronts fit perfect. The back ones actually stuck out too far. You can see them past the door, which was super weird. So I kind of just cut them with a square edge, sliced them back a little bit, so that they only, they come up to here, to this body line, and they work out good. This way you're getting in and out. There's no scraping the paint here on this edge, and that worked out well. The all-weather floor liners have been nice. We got back from our 2,000-mile road trip, which included the off-roading in Moab and all that stuff. Like I said, I pulled them out of the car, hosed them off, scrubbed them down, let them dry, put them back in. Nice and easy. They kept the floor nice and clean. The interior upholstery's been holding up well. Again, not a ton of miles on it, but it's holding up good. Super comfortable on long trips. I have no complaints on the seating comfort. I mean, it's fairly plush, the seats. I love, like I mentioned in the previous video, the bolstering is terrific, and it really lends itself to a nice comfortable ride when you're on long trips. You see how deep the bolstering is. So if you're not a big guy, you get in these big full-size trucks with the big wide seats, like my older Tundra, for example, and the seat's nice, big, and wide, and it's great for a big guy. But if you're a small guy like me, you kind of slide around when you turn in, like I feel like you get thrown all around a seat. This kind of holds you in place really nice. So I have enjoyed it. It's been good. So that's it so far as what my thoughts are on it. I don't have any complaints. I love it. I love the way it looks. I've had the tops off once. We took just the front tops, the Freedom panels off before. Now it's summertime. These panels ain't coming off for a long time. It's 110 degrees. You'll have sunburn driving to the grocery store. And it's just too hot. So the air conditioner is cranking right now. That's pretty much status for the foreseeable future here in Arizona. But I had the Freedom tops off once, put them in the bag, left them in the garage, went out with my daughter and my wife for the evening. It was nice. Came back, popped them back on. I haven't had any leaks. I've had it through a high pressure car wash several times to wash it. No leaks at all. Same thing goes for the tonneau cover. It's sealed pretty good. When I installed it, it came with extra foam for the front because the rails, you can see, are a little bit higher than the back panel of the bed. So they give you the foam to install there. You run that along. This way the tonneau cover sits on there and seals nicey nice. No gaps. Again, even the high pressure car wash, no water's coming in the bed. That's worked out well. So far as future mods go, and do I plan on keeping this thing? I'd say right now I do. I just don't see nothing out there that can give me what I got in this as far as options go. Sound system is amazing. Maneuverability, for having a mid-sized truck, there's not too many options out there. You have the Nissan Frontier, and that's like, I like things you can modify. There's like nothing out there aftermarket support for Nissan. Pro 4X is a nice little truck, but there's no aftermarket support. If you wanted to modify it or do anything, there's just nobody out there. Toyota Tacoma, TRD Pro or TRD Offroad would probably be the truck I would get aside, other than this, if I was going to get rid of this and get another midsize. But again, I'm losing some things there. I don't get the charging ports in the back seat, right, with the Toyota. You don't get the air vents in the back seat for the air conditioner. You get a little less leg room in the back seat. And when you're traveling with wife and kids, they start complaining because they're not comfortable. That makes for a miserable time. As it is, my wife would not complain if I were to get rid of a mid-size truck and go back to a full-size truck. She's already stated that. She likes the Jeep. She has no problems if I kept it. but she definitely would not want to see me go to another mid-sized vehicle where there's less room in it. And if I were to say, tell her I'm going to trade it in for a full-size truck, she would not complain a bit. My son loves the Jeep. My daughter is this way, that way with it. She doesn't like the looks of it. She says it looks like a box. And I get it. Some people have feel that way about the way Jeeps are. She likes a regular Jeep, but she doesn't like the Jeep Gladiator for some reason. So, I don't know. To me, it's a good-looking truck. I can see what she means a little bit. It could be a little plain from, say, the back rear corner angle. But the front is just mean-looking. I love the way it looks. Suspension handles great. It off-roaded great. Other than that little bit of noise I'm getting in the rear shocks, which I'll wait till Falcon comes out, and then if it's really bothering me, I'll replace them with some Falcons. But as far as mods I do have planned definitely is, I like to do some sway bar disconnects in the front, because the Mojave, you don't get the sway bar disconnects like you do in the Rubicon. And I apologize, there's a plane going overhead right now. But you see, you know, you get the factory sway bar. There's no disconnects. So the ones I was looking at, Apex Design or something like that, they have a little knob on the top. You just turn them, they open up, and then they work like a shock almost, and they give you full flex. They're quite pricey. They're $450 for a set, but you don't got to get under there, pull a pin, pull it off, get grease on your hands, tie them up while you're off-roading, come back, put them back on. It's just a little matter of turning a knob, like you turn a knob on to adjust your shocks on each side, and it's disconnected. It softens the ride, even if you're not doing nothing crazy. If you're doing any type of off-roading, it alleviates that jostling back and forth inside the cab. So I have the sway bars disconnected in the front. So we may do those, because I really had a great time at Moab, and honestly, I'd love to go back. You know, even just myself and then my buddy with his Jeep, it might be a fun trip. So I would like to head back there, maybe do some more trails, and having the sway bar disconnects I think would be great. As far as tires, I like these tires. Not going to replace them. I'm going to do a whole separate review on these tires, because these Falcon Wild Peaks, great tire. But so I'm thinking sway bar disconnects, and then we're going to do the bed rail system here in the bed. I'm going to go with the TerraFlex brand, not the Mopar one. I know you can make it yourself. You guys are all going to tell me save money, make it yourself, use some you know, metal from Home Depot and paint it, and get some tie down cleats and remount the holes and yada yada yada. I'm not going that route. I know you can, and I'm perfectly capable of doing it. I just want to buy a system I can bolt in. It's already done. The TerraFlex one comes with these really nice metal cleats that slide in there, which would be great for assisting with tying down my Raptor when it's in the bed, with the quads in the bed. These ones here are kind of hard to get to, and the ones in the front especially, they're wedged up against the front tires when the ATV's in here, so they're extremely difficult to use. So if I got the bed rails with the cleats on there, I can use some. I used a couple of those to kind of pull from that way and get more tie down points to hold, you know, for when the Raptor's in the bed. So that's the plan for that. Also, for tying down the tonneau cover, you see right now the tonneau cover the way it is. You can do either way, but it clips onto the bottom of the bed, and you'll see the bottom edge of the bed. It's just thin sheet metal right there, so it can actually cause a little bit of damage and like pull up, and you'll see in the front it's kind of pulling up on the on the edge of the bed there. So I'm gonna have to bend that back down straight a little bit more once we get the bed rails and get them on there, because then the bed rails, this tonneau cover comes with these little things that slide into the bed rails, and then these will latch to the clips on the bed rails instead of latching to the edge of just the sheet metal on the edge of the bed. So it's much better setup for that. So we're going to do that, and the sway bar disconnects in the front. I'd like to maybe do a set of wheels and a front bumper. I'm going to keep these tires for a while. I just love the gas mileage I'm getting, and I don't want to kill it with putting 35s on there. And I haven't had any issues with, you know, the way it is now. So I'm thinking just leaving it like this, and just maybe change the wheels out, just something nicer on there, maybe some Methods or some Raceline wheels, something else other than just a, you know, plain flat wheel. something with a little bit of a lip maybe, and then maybe do a front bumper. I don't know, not 100% sure what else yet. If you guys have any ideas and suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Love to hear your ideas, and I'm always looking at other builds and trying to get ideas. I don't want to go nothing. I'm not going to do nothing too crazy, although, you know, everybody says that, right? And then before you know it, your build gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's the next phase of what I've done so far, is just the necessities, what I need to use for every day, and have you know, a good experience with the truck for everyday life. And moving forward, we'll do some cosmetic things now, you know, the wheels and the bumper and stuff like that, and then the bed rail system. So back on the inside of the truck here, guys, there's a couple things I want to go over with you before I forgot. When we were off-roading in Moab, the off-road plus mode, experimented with that a little bit. I only locked the rear axle once. Wasn't really needed, just wanted to see how it worked, how it engages very smoothly, goes right in. But the off-road plus mode is an interesting tool. I actually found myself in 4 high most of the time on even like a slower section of trail where it's kind of rocky and you kind of got to go slower. I could leave it in 4 high and just put it in off-road plus mode, and it kind of almost as if it gears it down. But it'll just keep it, say, basically in first gear and, you know, second gear at the highest, instead of going through the gears all the time. If it's off-road plus mode is off and you're in 4-wheel drive, your transmission will go through the gears. When you put it in off-road plus mode, it kind of keeps it in first and second gear, so you have a little bit more engine braking and, you know, throttle control and stuff like that. So it was a useful tool, and I found most of the off-roading successful in just 4 high and putting off-road plus mode on a couple times. And even on a real, there's a couple sections of trail that were, you know, dropping down and making a turn, you know, in some rocky areas where I put it in 4 low just for the gearing, and a little bit better of control. But it could have did it in 4 high. So as far as having the non-Rubicon transfer case, I haven't had an issue. Of course, I'm not doing anything extreme with the truck, but you shouldn't have any issues with the regular 4 low in this. As far as everything else goes, the controls, I found them to be very user-friendly. You can change almost everything from the screen. You can go to the menu and go to your climate control and all that stuff, you know, right from here. But to me, that's silly. I mean, you just turn the knob, press a button. I like that better. I know I'm turning something on. I don't got to go into the screen and go through a menu to do it. I understand people like that, but this, to me, in a truck specifically, is user-friendly. I can't stand getting in a car where I got to go into the screen. That's the only way to change anything. So guys, there you have it. Those are my thoughts. Leave some comments below. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's definitely more Jeep content coming. We have plenty of other content on the channel. Browse through it, check it out. Maybe you'll see something else you like that we cover. ATVs, side-by-sides, anything off-road, okay? So we're not pigeonholed into one thing. If it's off-road related, we're going to cover it. And that includes towing utilities as well. So we do some things, you know, in regards to towing. So thanks for tuning into the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button, share the videos with your friends, and drive safe. We'll see you guys on the next one.